The small town of Staufen is located in the Upper Rhine Valley, nestling between the Black Forest and the Vosges. The castle hill, with its vine-covered slopes, is visible a long way off, as is its old ruined castle, once the residence of the Barons of Staufen. It was here that Dr. Faust once lived, who gave his name to the Dr. Faustus, introduced into the world's literature by Goethe. He had been taken on by the barons to make gold, but never got that far. As the chronicles report, he was fetched by the devil in 1539. The first documentary evidence of Staufen dates back to the year 770, and the town acquired its municipal rights approximately 50 years later. The medieval town centre has been preserved right to the present day, with its small alleyways, shady squares, old fountains, the marketplace, and not least, the Gothic town hall. It is here in these peaceful and idyllic surroundings that the old Black Forest family distillery of Alfred Schladerer is also located. Anyone entering the estate under the old plane trees is immediately captured by the soothing atmosphere that prevails. All the different items that lend the rooms their distinctive individual character have been collected over many generations, providing a testimony to great appreciation of art. Valuable clocks, carved troughs, and display cabinets, and a large number of hand-painted rustic cupboards. Sixtus Balthasar Schladerer was born in 1790 in Bamlach on the Upper Rhine. When he first started to distill fruit in his parents' home in 1813, he could never have imagined just how famous his name would one day become. A few years later, Sixtus Schladerer was born. He opted to follow in his father's footsteps from a very early age. In 1844, he moved to Staufen, marrying one of the daughters of the Kreuz Post Hotel. Even at that time, the eminent guests had already come to appreciate the home-distilled Krisi Vesely fruit spirits. In 1876, son Hermann took over the reputable hotel with its distillery. The Kreuz Post made a name for itself even beyond the national borders. His son, Alfred, followed in 1919. Devoting all his efforts to extending the distillery, which constituted his particular passion. Following his untimely death in 1956, his wife, Greta Schladerer, took over from him. She maintained the spirit and the tradition of the family company, as well as the distinctive Schladerer style that goes with its delightful setting. The typical rectangular Schladerer bottle also dates from this time. Ever since it was registered at the German Patent Office in 1939, it has remained virtually unchanged and has become a trademark for the fine Black Forest fruit spirits produced by the Schladerer Company. When the tops of the mountains are still covered in snow, the cherry trees in the valleys are generally already in full bloom. The southerly climate that prevails here provides ideal conditions for the fruit processed by Schladerer to flourish. And this holds particularly true of the sweet black cherries used for distilling. Harvesting starts in July. The fully ripe fruit is picked from the branches by hand and collected in baskets after the stalks have been removed. A widespread network of collection points ensures that the fruit can be gathered in rapidly. The fruit is first weighed and then transported to Staufen in special containers by the fastest possible means. Harvest time has always been the busy season at Schladerer's. In years with a particularly good harvest, well above 1,000 tons of cherries can be delivered to Staufen. The quality of the fruit is monitored carefully. The weight and place of origin are recorded, and the Oechsler degrees measured. This provides an indication of the amount of sugar in the fruit. The cherries are then conveyed to the fermenting tanks via a big mash pump. Fermentation commences within a very short time, and the natural fruit sugar, or fructose, turns into alcohol. Fermentation takes approximately 2 to 3 weeks. The containers are then filled up and sealed. It is in the distillery that the process that has made Schladerer fruit spirits so famous goes through its final stages. As in the days of Sixtus Schladerer, use is still made of copper stills for distilling. Together with the latest technical facilities, these stills provide the basis for a high-grade distillate. Many decades of experience, cleanliness, patience, and precision are what are required for this. The mash is carefully brought to the boil. Before the temperature reaches 80 degrees Celsius, the alcohol vapors start to emerge and rise up, and are then conveyed to the condenser via the so-called spirit pipe. It is here that the mash is condensed and collected in the form of a distillate. The master distiller takes constant samples in order to assess the quality of the distillate and, after elimination of the first runnings and tailings, obtains a high-grade middle fraction. The entire distilling operation is monitored by the customs. Each drop of alcohol runs through a special sealed gauge and is accurately registered. This enables the spirit's duty to be calculated at a later date. By contrast to pomaceous fruit or stone fruit, berries have a naturally low sugar content. They are thus not fermented, but have pure alcohol poured over them, which absorbs the fine, sensitive aroma of the fruit. This process is known as maceration. It has always been a particular speciality of Schladerer to capture the delightful fragrance of fresh wild raspberries and distill them into the unique Schladerer Himbeergeist. The pure, clear distillate flows out of the distilling apparatus and is left to mature in peace. We allow plenty of time for this to ensure that our fruit spirits acquire the mildness that distinguishes Schladerer fruit spirits from others. The distillates mature in ventilated stainless steel tanks. Choice distillates, and also our rarities, are still matured in ash barrels, which do not give off any color or taste. Quality has always been carefully monitored within the company. Checks are conducted into the mash and test distillations, since only a perfect mash will give high-quality fruit spirits. The different distillates are repeatedly sampled and blended. After a number of sensory tests, our master distillers then put together a cuvée that connoisseurs of our fruit spirits will recognize and appreciate as having the familiar Schladerer taste. Since the distillates contain 65 to 70% by alcohol volume while they are maturing, it is necessary to reduce them to drinking strength. To do this, we make use of particularly soft spring water, brought down to us from above the Münster Valley in our own pipe, which we then add to the distillates in the right ratio. It goes without saying that maximum care and precision are called for here. After filtering, the fruit spirits are bottled in the rectangular bottles typical of Schladerer. Whereas labeling and sealing were previously jobs carried out by hand, high-performance machines now perform these tasks. The old Black Forest family distillery boasts the latest in technology here. Despite this, even with all the technical advances that have come about, the sophisticated equipment still requires continuous monitoring and adjustment. On this unit, which was specially developed for us, each bottle receives the guarantee that we provide for the special quality of our distillates. And finally, the bottles are all given their distinctive red seals. More than 10,000 bottles can be filled and packed on this line every day. The same also applies for our liqueurs, which we make using pure, unadulterated fruit juices and single-sort distillates so as to bring out the typical flavor of the fruit. To round off our range, we produce a series of special bottles and gift packs, ranging from valuable hand-cut crystal decanters through to the latest manually blown designer bottles. Although spirits are subject to a relatively high level of tax, the number of exacting customers and connoisseurs of fruit brandy is constantly growing. The many different ways in which these fine spirits can be used is much appreciated, either neat or with coffee as a digestive to mark the culmination of an opulent meal, as an ingredient of fruit-based long drinks, as an enhancement to refined desserts, for cooking and baking. Let your fantasy run free. Schladerer fruit spirits are today found in supermarkets and delicatessens, in famous hotels and restaurants, on board international air and shipping lines, and in the majority of duty-free shops. The popularity of our fruit brandies knows no bounds. Schladerer has already been supplied to more than 40 countries in the world. The production of fruit spirits in the Black Forest can be traced back to the early 17th century. What was originally just another way of using fruit has now progressed from a simple peasant distillate to prestigious luxury spirits. Schladerer, the story of how a small Black Forest family distillery has developed into the market leader for high-grade fruit spirits. A development that is marked by Sixtus Schladerer, by Staufen im Breisgau, by the good grace of nature, and by the constant pursuit of perfect quality. In 1950, Schladerer sold some 50,000 bottles a year. Today, well over 2 million bottles leave the company's premises each year. Überlieferung verpflichtet, or remaining loyal to tradition, is the principle that has been inscribed on all Schladerer bottles for decades. And living up to this claim represents a target and an incentive for the present generation too, since their motto for the future as well runs, Schladerer, the most spirited way of enjoying fruit.